Taka-Chigai. It's a means cross feathers. It's a Skyjiro sword. It's a 2016 edition. Some of you may have seen it on some of my reviews, and if you haven't, I'll leave a link in this video or in a card or something like that, so you guys can check it out. Definitely a beautiful sword. Recently, I came across some comments. So some people were saying that there's a rumor going around that Skyjiro swords are not meant to be taken apart, like they glued together or something like that. And it just so happens I didn't take this sword apart yet. Why, I don't know. But katana swords are meant to be taken apart. I know it was a ridiculous rumor, but I wanted to kind of take this apart, see the bare bones of this sword, and show you the tang, and let you know how the fit and finish is upon taking it apart and putting it back together, if it kind of comes back together the right way. So that's what I'm doing now. Kind of just disprove this rumor going around that Skyjiro swords are not to be taken apart. I think it was also the owner of the company had advised me not to take it apart because they're put together very tight, and I would damage something by taking it apart or something like that. So that's probably why, if I recall, I haven't taken it apart yet. For you guys, I did. So I did take apart the Skyjiro sword. I'm going to show you what it looks like in its bare bones, let you know what the tang looks like, and get you some more close-ups of the individual pieces. That's what I'm showing you now. So sit back, relax, enjoy. Let's watch the show. So here is the Skyjiro sword magically taken apart. No, it was not glued into place. It was definitely able to be taken apart. But I can see what Skyjiro was saying in terms of it being really tight. It did need tapping of the hammer onto the Suba in order to take it apart. Now you can see here is the Nakago, and you can see very clearly the Yasuri Mei. The file markings are pretty prominent. They did some work on the Nakago with the file markings, pretty clean. No apparent sign of any rust, and obviously you could see very clearly the Mei signature carved into the blade of the smith, I'm assuming, which looks pretty nice. But the carvings looks pretty nice. It's a very clean Nakago. You can see the very clean Makugi peg holes, and it's actually the full length of the Suka, or the handle. It's the whole length of the handle, which is makes it obviously a lot more secure. Pretty happy with how the Nakago looks, the shape of the Nakago. Not really any sign of rust. Nice Mei signature, and beautiful Yasuri Mei file markings onto the Nakago, which is always good to see that they have some treatment on the Nakago when you take it apart. You also see that the Munamachi and the Hamachi on the edge are perfectly lined up to the Habaki. So that's something that you normally don't see lined up perfectly at the Habaki point of the Nakago. So that's always a welcome thing to see, and it shows that they're putting some pride into the sword. Now here are all the finishing pieces displayed for you here. You have the Fuchi, the Seppas, the Suba. Now, according to Skyjiro, these are all Skyjiro Forge's all yellow bronze pieces, and they're all pretty solid, and there's no apparent damage from taking it apart and tapping it with the rubber hammer at all. This is the Fuchi, which is the collar of the Ska. Again, yellow bronze piece. You see a little patina showing through with a little bit of a cross feather logo that's coming to you from Skyjiro, but a pretty solid piece. It's a nice, good quality seppa. You can see that there is no bending. I can actually, normally a lot of these seppas you can bend them by hand, but this is pretty solid. It's pretty hard to bend. Obviously you can bend it if you try, but it's definitely a lot more solid than I've seen. As well as the Suba here, no apparent bending again. Pretty heavy in the hand. I mean, there's definitely some weight of this in the hand. It's definitely a quality steel, quality bronze piece, or yellow bronze piece is what they call it. And you can see some details in the feathers. That's the official logo of Skyjiro with the cross feathers, and it's definitely nice weight in the hand. No bends, perfectly straight, and it's nice to have a very trademarked, piece from Skyjiro. This is the Habaki. Nice execution on Habaki. Nice file markings on the side there. Again, pretty nice details. It's always good to also have a different type of Habaki that's not the norm on all swords. And these pieces that you have from Skyjiro on their swords are pretty much something that they make from their forge for their swords. And if you see any replicas of them, they're pretty much just copies of whatever Skyjiro does in-house. So nice solid piece. These are dried bamboo pegs. The integrity of them is pretty good after taking them apart. And here's the suka, the scow, the handle. You can see it's a nice quality piece of wood there. What I like about the fact that there is inlays made in for the samegawa, so the samegawa fits very cleanly underneath the ito. You can see the carved out inlays. They definitely put some work. They put some work into making up the inlays. Again, it's not something you see on most swords, and you would expect it on something in this type of quality range and this type of price range to have inlays made in. Not the best inlays I've ever seen, but definitely good to see them. And you can see it's a good quality piece of wood, a dark quality piece of wood there. There's some weight in the hand from the ska. Here's the good execution on the kashira. Obviously that doesn't come apart and it's very tight. Now putting it back together, the habaki was able to go to a certain point and without forcing it too much and having your finger accidentally sliding over the hollow, the sharp edge. I had to kind of tap it with the rubber hammer to kind of get it back into place to where it was, and once it is secure, it stays in place pretty solidly. It doesn't move, and I think purposely Skyjiro makes the swords like this so they can stay pretty much very tight. Seppa slides in very cleanly. Again, no bends or anything like that. And the suba, again, goes to that certain point of the nakago, and then you have to kind of get the rubber hammer and just kind of hammer it into place so it kind of meets all the rest of the pieces there. Then once you have the fuchi on the ska, you just have to kind of tap it from the kashira with the rubber hammer. Again, just light taps, nothing too, it looks a lot harder than what I'm doing, but they're just pretty much light taps, so everything kind of meets into place. And then finally you get the makugi pegs, which are pretty easy. They go into place with my little tool there. And there you have it, guys. It's a put together Skyjiro. Everything is, once the makugi pegs are in, everything's in place, everything's very tight, and everything's in place exactly the way it was when I first got the sword. So there you have it, guys. More of a testament or a sample size of what Skyjiro Forge can offer you in this $700–800 price range on this Taka-Chigai sword from Skyjiro. Pretty content with how the sword was able to disassemble and assemble back together in form and still remain very tight. Thanks for watching, guys. Until the next sword and knife video, much love and respect to each and every one of you. See you when I see you. Ciao.